Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. We got all kinds of things going on. Smackdown, 205 Live, some tidbits from around the world of professional wrestling. Let's get started right away with the Smackdown reaction. Jinder Mahal starting the show at a photo shoot, sporting the WWE Championship belt. Enter Shane McMahon, who comes in, takes the belt away, and tells him he's going to go give it to the rightful owner. I actually really like the way they're building Jinder Mahal up as a legitimate threat to Randy Orton's championship. A few weeks ago, Jinder Mahal was nobody. He was a glorified jobber. Now, he's in a main event situation, and he's actually carrying himself in a very good way. He's got the right look, he's got the right persona, the right attitude. He just needed something, the it factor, to make him a legitimate threat. Now, with the Singh brothers and the way they've choreographed this storyline, it has made him look like a legitimate threat to potentially take the championship. Now, I don't expect him to win the title. I do not expect that. However, at least if he did, it would be more believable now. So, going into this show, I thought it was a great way to kick off the show, getting the belt back. Randy Orton, though, was conspicuous by his absence on the show, I guess selling his injuries from the pay-per-view at Payback, but it would have been nice to see the champ actually at the show getting his belt back. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. Go into the first opening segment, actually in the ring. Shane McMahon comes out, huge ovation for Shane. He always gets such a great response. I hope he appreciates how beloved he is by the wrestling fans. He's going to come out to introduce Chris Jericho, the newest member of the SmackDown roster, coming out the new United States champion. And they're having some back and forth banter, what's going to happen at Backlash and whatnot. And AJ Styles comes out, and this has the potential to be an amazing rematch of their matches last year when AJ first debuted with the company. It really gives fans something to look forward to. AJ Styles versus Jericho Part 3, really. And it sounded for a moment like we may actually get to see that. Now, those of us who are smart marks, we already know that can't happen. Jericho's leaving for an extended period of time. I would anticipate he's probably going to be gone for the better part of the summer. It's the best touring time for a rock band, outdoor venues, outdoor stadiums, and things like that. So I expect him to be gone most of the summer, but I do expect him to be back at some point. And when he comes back, he'll go back to the SmackDown brand, which I think is only good for SmackDown. Horrible for Raw, good for SmackDown. After AJ Styles comes out and they have their back and forth banter a bit, you have Kevin Owens come out, who's complaining he's the face of America. He's the man now. I have a problem seeing him with that KO shirt with the red, white, blue, star spangled banner stripes and stars and stripes, all that stuff on his shirt. I have a problem with that since the dude's from Canada. Doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems strange and bizarre, but he comes out to lay his claim. AJ Styles jumps out of the ring and they start a full-on brawl in the aisleway, which results in everybody in the world coming out to pull them apart. I actually like the way they're building that. Styles, when he's talking to Jericho, is still the heel, but when Owens comes out, he becomes the face instantly. It's a very rare and really strange way to play a character, and he's doing it really well. It's almost like when Bret Hart used to be a babyface in Canada and a heel in the United States, except his flips literally are momentary. He's a bad guy talking to Jericho, he's a good guy instantly with Kevin Owens, and I kind of like the way they do that. First actual match on the show is Jinder Mahal out in the ring taking on Sami Zayn. This match, a few months ago, it would have been just a blowout. Sami Zayn would have crushed him. Instead, we get a decent match back and forth. Looks like for a moment Sami Zayn is actually going to do something and pull off a win, but you have to know, going into a main event match, Jinder Mahal can't lose. So you have interference from the Singh brothers on both sides of the ring, leaning to him getting his finishing maneuver on Sami Zayn and pinning Sami Zayn clean in the ring. The only problem I have with this is they could have picked somebody other than Sami Zayn. His character has just been assassinated in the last few weeks, and I think this is a horrible thing. Sami Zayn is somebody who deserves a more prominent position on the show just based on his quality of in-ring skill, his ability to put on a great match. There are matches looming in the future, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, that really Sami Zayn could put on some amazing stuff with, and we may never get to see those if they don't find a way to elevate his character and keep him at an elevated status so that he's believable when he goes against those types of caliber wrestlers. So we'll have to see. I really just don't want to see him with Kevin Owens again. And let's face it, right now, that's about the only bad guy, that's the only heel you could see Sami Zayn beating, only because of their feud last year. Otherwise, Sami Zayn's been pretty much buried for months. Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina are in the back. They're talking to Becky Lynch, telling her how she needs to join their coalition against Charlotte. And for anybody who knows anything about Becky Lynch and Charlotte, they are very close in their personal life. They have come through the developmental system together, and it's been an interesting transition for them both to the main roster in very different ways. Charlotte probably more successful than Becky Lynch by a long shot, but nonetheless, still very tight. So we have to wait and see how that develops later in the show. We have Shane McMahon talking to Dolph Ziggler. They're going over what happened the previous week with Nakamura, where Dolph Ziggler thought he was going to impose his verbal tirade against Nakamura without any repercussions. Didn't happen. Nakamura ended up stopping him. And it's clear that Ziggler-Nakamura at the pay-per-view is really going to be the headlining match. I know we have Styles and Owens for the U.S. title, but I think the fans at this point, they just want to see Nakamura on SmackDown. Not that they haven't seen him on NXT, but it's time to actually see the guy wrestle on SmackDown. The roster switch, the brand switch, whatever you want to call it, superstar shakeup was almost a month ago, or it was a month ago. We need to start seeing these guys materialize into something more substantial on screen. And I'm not talking about the jobbers that they moved around. We see plenty of them. I'm tired of seeing them. Let's start seeing these stars. Aiden English is in the ring for the next segment. He's singing, talking about how it's great to be in the spotlight finally, and all this just a weird segment. I hate what they're doing with his character. I thought they really had an opportunity if they would have put him in 205 Live, if they would have promoted him in a different way. Instead, they're wasting him, turning him into another jobber, because that's what WWE's good at, taking talented people and turning them into jobbers. As he's singing, he's interrupted by Ty Dillinger, Mr. Number 10. He comes out, he's going to pick up the win, he's going to hit his finisher, pick up the win. Couldn't have expected it to go any other way. Ty Dillinger, even though he's got so much popularity coming out of NXT, he's really doing nothing of substance yet. Again, a guy who has transitioned to the brand who hasn't done anything. Next, there's an interview with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's out talking about his match later in the night, but in addition, the funnier part of the segment is Aiden English, who just got squashed by Ty Dillinger, is walking through the back. He's holding his head, he's crying, he's all emotional, and Jericho gives him this big pick-me-up speech, talking about how big he is and how strong he is. Good-looking guy, big old hairy chest, he can sing, and then he puts him on the list, which was awesome. Then he put the announcer on the list. Very cool. I think the people love this list thing. It's going to be a shame to see it go away for the short term. Hopefully he comes back and brings it back in the long term. But I actually love the segment, seeing him interact with Aiden English. I thought it was pretty funny. Charlotte is in the back. She's talking about the WWE Smackdown Women's Championship being her destiny. As she's cutting her promo, she gets attacked by that triad of terror, Naomi, Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina. When they come out, they don't do a big beatdown because they got a match coming up in a few moments. They get out to the ring, and now we've got Naomi and Charlotte versus Natalya and Carmella, except Charlotte is hurt. She's not even out there yet. They start the match with Naomi. Eventually, Charlotte makes her way to the ring. She comes off strong. All four women were performing very well in this match. It was a legitimate, decent tag team match, and what I love the most is SmackDown is the one brand you can count on the women getting a good 20 minutes of screen time every week. On Raw, they talk about a women's revolution, and every once in a while you get a great quality women's match, but on SmackDown it's pretty much every week. We get a lot of female input, female action, and for the people out there who really like true wrestling in professional wrestling, it's not just sports entertainment, these women can really throw down and really can go. So giving them screen time is a beautiful thing, and that's one of the things I think separates SmackDown from Raw. I think SmackDown's the better show right now, especially from a women's perspective. Maybe not necessarily women's talent, but the women's performance perspective. So we get in our tag team match. It ends up going down where, Tamina's going to get in the ring. There's going to be a 3-on-2 beatdown. As that's going on, Becky Lynch comes out and she strolls to the ring nice and slow. And when she gets to the ring, she gets in. She looks like she's going to go against them. Then she looks like she's going to side with them. She hugs and everybody in their thing, including James Ellsworth. And then she shoves Ellsworth into the triad of terror, as I'm calling it. And a full-on brawl breaks out where she ends up getting beat down too, which I didn't understand that. When Becky Lynch is coming out to make the save, let her make the freaking save. If you're telling me that these 3-on-2 could beat down Naomi and Charlotte, and now Becky Lynch comes out to make the save and you're going to beat her down too, what are they supposed to do in a match? They should have had an opportunity here to make Becky Lynch look strong, and instead they just made her look like one more of the three that are going to get beat down by this group. So we'll have to see how that plays out over the next couple weeks. Obviously a 6-person tag team match coming up, maybe even a 3-on-4 and throw Ellsworth in there because he's worthless anyways. Our next match, you actually get to see Dolph Ziggler take on Sin Cara. Sin Cara, I can't get over that bizarre outfit they've got him wearing lately. He looks like a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. I swear they're trying to do that on purpose because the movie came out and they're trying to capitalize on the popularity. The problem is the movie wasn't that popular. They need to get over it. Move on. He looked better when he looked like a Lucha Dragon. But Sin Cara puts on a good show. Dolph Ziggler, as always, athletic and fit and always doing what he's supposed to do, hits his super kick for the win. It's pretty much the match you expected. He obliterates Sin Cara, who's turned into a whole lot of nothing ever since they split up the Lucha Dragons. We see a segment in the back where the Fashion Police are talking about the Usos, which it doesn't add a lot of substance to the program, but at least they're not just making them number one contenders and forgetting about them until the pay-per-view. I actually like the idea of making them look in somewhat like a comedic role, but if they win the championship, it's more believable every time they run a vignette like this. So whatever you can do to make them look good, do it, because that tag team division needs some help in some kind of way. The main event, of course, the United States Championship rematch from Payback, Jericho defending against Owens. Solid match back and forth, lots of near falls. At one point, towards the end of the match, Kevin Owens takes Chris Jericho outside the ring. He DDTs him on the rampway, which they claim is all concrete. Jericho looks miserable. And then, he gets him into the ring, and he's pummeling him in the ring. He kicks out of one pin attempt. He ends up getting hit with a pop-up powerbomb, and we have a new United States champion as expected. Kevin Owens regains his championship. Makes me wonder why in heaven's name they had him lose the title the night before, unless they just wanted to have the rubber match, and that's what this was. And so after the match, there's a thorough beatdown by Kevin Owens of Chris Jericho. This is how they're going to write him off television for the foreseeable future. Although I find it funny that the very next day, if you popped on Instagram, Chris Jericho's Instagram, he posted a t-shirt, a GOAT t-shirt with his face on it. And he's talking about how he's going to be going away for a little while. But on storyline-wise, at least, he's got his head wrapped in the chair, slammed into the corner post. It's supposed to be a major neck injury. I'm sure it's designed just to keep him off TV long enough so he can go tour with Fozzy and come back and then seek some revenge later. And if he doesn't, he's going to kind of look weak. So I guess they better bring him back and have him at least get another match with KO. But I'm going to move on to 205 Live. Relatively short show this week as far as things to talk about. TJ Perkins comes out. He defeats Lince Dorado, who you almost forget is even on the roster because he gets so little screen time. There's an interview. Corey Graves is talking to Brian Kendrick. It's obviously a pre-recorded segment, but in this segment, Akira Tozawa attacks him, and we're back to these lessons. This is lesson number 5. It's always end an interview with an impact. And I'm so over that storyline. If they could please move past it. Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick, they don't even look good in the ring together. So I hope they do something different with them. We get another match. Drew Gulak defeats Mustafa Ali. I'm okay with this because it keeps Gulak looking strong after he's been complaining about the high spots and whatnot for weeks now. I hate that angle, but at least he wins the match and it keeps him relevant, although I don't like burying Mustafa Ali, who's been looking great lately. So I think I would have chosen a different cruiserweight for him to defeat, but I guess that just went along with the booking the last couple weeks. And the main event, Noam Dar defeats Rich Swann in a really good match. After the match, though, is the highlight of the night where Alicia Fox comes out and she reconciles with Noam Dar. Like, what kind of hoe does this guy want to date? Like, I don't understand. But whatever, I guess that's just what they want to do with Alicia Fox. They don't even give her any screen time in the ring. God forbid she actually gets to perform for us and we can actually see her wrestle. No, we got to see her have this heartthrob triangle with Rich Swann and Noam Dar. So whatever, at least maybe they'll finally get over that program and move on. In other news, other wrestling news, Shawn Michaels is going to be in another direct-to-DVD production by WWE Filming Studios. It's going to be called Pure Country, Pure Heart. And it'll also star Willie Nelson. This is the third film in a series. They did Pure Country and Pure Country 2. This is the third in the series. I don't know how I feel about Shawn Michaels as a lead actor. The resurrection of Gavin Stone didn't really go over that big in the box office, so I assume that's part of why this is going straight to DVD. But he's not an actor in that way, so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. The man formerly known as Jack Swagger was doing an interview I saw on WrestleZone.com where he talked about what he's going to be calling himself going forward, which he's going to go by the name formerly known as Jack Swagger, to avoid any kind of legal ramifications from WWE. He said he could go with Jacques Swagger, because he's French-Canadian, but it just doesn't make sense. So he's just going to go with formerly known as Jack Swagger as he takes his independent bookings. Did talk about how he felt like it was time to go. He and WWE were in different places. They were looking in different directions. He felt he was worth a certain amount of money. They thought he was worth less, and he just needed to take some time away. He's been away from his family. He's got a couple kids. He wants to be around for the kids more. He said he'd be a stay-at-home dad if he could be. That's how much he loves family time. So it's cool to hear that he's doing well for himself and he's going to get some time to spend with the kids and the family. New Japan is in the news today. New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion taking place on June 11th. It's the big announcement that New Japan fans have been dying to hear. The rematch from Wrestle Kingdom. Kazuchika Okada will defend the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Kenny Omega. This is the match that originally went through the legendary 6-star match from from Wrestle Kingdom. This match obviously holds the promise of potentially doing the same thing all over again. I'm glad to see that they put Kenny Omega back in the championship picture, and I kind of wonder if they want to give Omega a run with the title to make the title mean something and then take it off him at Wrestle Kingdom next year, so that it sounds to me like he may have interest in coming to WWE, and if that's the case, clearly he wants to get a run with the title, but I don't think they want to leave it on him permanently because they think he's going to leave. So this may be the time where they give him the championship, and in all seriousness, Okada has held the belt for such a long time. I think it's time to transition it to somebody else. In other New Japan news, the Best of the Super Juniors tournament kicks off May 17th, and they've announced the blocks. In Block A, we've got the legendary Jushin Thunder Liger, Ricochet, Dragon Lee, Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll, Tai Chi, Taka Michinoku, and Hiromu Takahashi. What a block. These guys are going to tear the house down. Block B, just as stacked. Tiger Mask, Ryusuke Taguchi, Kushida, Volador Jr., ACH, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, El Desperado, and Bushi, all filling up Block B. This Best of the Super Juniors tournament is going to be amazing, and I hope you get the opportunity to tune into Access Television and see what these people can do when they finally put those matches and make them available to you, because if you've never seen New Japan Super Juniors compete, it is some of the most high-flying, death-defying, just high-impact matches that sometimes they just blow your mind. So if you get a chance, check them out. And if you don't have the patience to wait till these are available on Access, go on YouTube and pull up the Best of the Super Juniors 2016, 2015, 2014. Pull up the matches and watch what these people do. They are thoroughly amazing. It's time for fantasy booking. We are into the Elite 8 round. We started out with 128 wrestlers, and we are down to the final 8. And you guys have picked some of the most amazing matchups in the history of fantasy booked wrestling. So, our final 4 matches. Hulk Hogan taking on Bret the Hitman Hart. Talk about a dream match. How about this one that I've never thought of before? The Great Muta taking on John Cena. I'm impressed you guys have put Muta this far into the tournament. I don't have a problem with it. He's phenomenal. He deserves to be there, but I'm thankful that American fans still appreciate the Great Muta and put him this far into the tournament and put him against somebody who he has never been in the ring with. Ready for this one? The Rock versus Sting. Another classic all-time dream match, but nothing compares for me personally to our last match in this round. Yokozuna, 500 and some pound Yokozuna, going one-on-one with the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Put your choices for those 4 matches into the comment section on YouTube. We will tabulate your results and move your people on to the final 4. This is going to be a great winner no matter who wins this match. And what I find interesting is the only active wrestlers left in the tournament, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and the Great Muta. Interesting to me. So, that's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us in the next episode. We'll cover all the latest news and rumors in the world of professional wrestling. Special thanks, as always, go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects we used in today's show. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with Sketchy People. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games by going to www.thegamecrafter.com/sketchypeople to pick up your copy today. And to AlleyRepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today, and if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to www.tsjsports.com/WWE for the latest articles on the world of professional wrestling. And while you have a few moments, pop on over to our website. If you are looking for guidance in the world of higher education or career, then look up www.frolifeplanning.com and see what Mr. Fro, that's what I can do for you on your path to higher education. Until next episode, take care, everybody. Have a great night.